Some shows you watched because everyone was talking about them. The Torkelsons wasn't one of those. You found it quietly, maybe on a Saturday afternoon on the Disney Channel, maybe by accident. And it felt like walking into a family that already knew you. A mom holding it together. A girl talking to the moon. That was over 30 years ago. Those kids are grown now, and their stories are worth hearing. It only lasted 2 seasons. It never won a single award. But for the people who found it, the Torkelsons became something personal. So let's revisit the faces that made that little house feel like home. I'd love to know how you first found this show. Was it NBC on a Saturday night, or the Disney Channel years later? Those small details are the reason this channel exists. Share yours if it comes back to you. And it all starts with the woman who held everything together. Every family on TV had a mom. But Millicent Torkelson was the one who felt real. She wasn't polished. She wasn't perfect. She was tired, broke, and figuring it out one bill at a time. And if your own mother ever stretched $1 until it begged for mercy, you recognized her instantly. Connie Ray was 35 when she stepped into that kitchen. Raised on a dairy farm in North Carolina, she brought something to Millicent that no script could teach. You believed her because she'd lived close to that truth. What most viewers never knew is that Connie wasn't just an actress. She wrote the Smoke on the Mountain trilogy, a set of bluegrass gospel musicals that became some of the most produced shows in American theater for over 2 decades. The woman playing a mom who couldn't pay rent was quietly building a legacy off-screen. Today at 69, she splits her time between Los Angeles and New York, still acting, still writing, aging with incredible grace. The kitchen may be gone, but the woman who stood in it is still very much here. He pulled up on a motorcycle, the new neighbor, 18, easy smile, completely out of reach. And 14-year-old Dorothy Jane fell so hard it hurt to watch. You remember that feeling? The one where you rehearsed what you'd say and then said nothing at all. Riley Roberts was the crush before you knew what a crush really meant. Michael Landis was 19 when he played that boy next door. Born in the Bronx, he'd already been working since 16, playing Winnie Cooper's boyfriend on The Wonder Years. After the Torkelsons, he landed the role of Jimmy Olsen on Lois and Clark. He was let go after 1 season because he looked too much like Dean Cain. It stung, but it didn't stop him. Today, at 53, time has only deepened his elegance. He's never stopped working. In 2025, he starred opposite Colin Firth in the Peacock series Lockerbie. The year before, he was alongside Mark Wahlberg in Arthur the King. The boy Dorothy Jane couldn't reach grew into a man Hollywood keeps reaching for. Not every face from that house stayed in front of the cameras. Some of the youngest ones chose something else entirely. She was 6 years old, the littlest Torkelson, the one who walked through every crisis like sunshine had no off switch. While the rest of the family worried, Mary Sue simply believed things would be fine. And honestly, we needed that kid in the room. Rachel Duncan was born in Texas and started acting before she could read. After the Torkelsons, she kept working through the 90s. Smart House, What Women Want. Then, somewhere around the early 2000s, she stepped away. No headlines, no announcement, just a choice all her own. Today at 41, she still carries the same spark we remember. She simply chose to let it shine somewhere private. And there's something worth admiring in that. Here's something that bothered fans for years. When the Torkelsons became almost home, 2 of the 5 kids simply vanished. No goodbye, no explanation. Stephen Floyd and Ruth Ann were just gone. It was one of those TV mysteries nobody ever solved. Aaron Michael Metchik was 11 when he first played the athletic older brother. He brought a steadiness to that crowded household, The kid who carried a bit more weight on his shoulders so the younger ones didn't have to. You trusted him the way you trusted your own big brother. After the show, he kept acting. The Babysitters Club in 1995, a voice role in Disney's Hercules. He wrote and directed his own film 10 years later. But somewhere along the way, he realized he had more to give behind the curtain than in front of it. Today, at 46, Aaron runs an acting program called Actor's Edge in Los Angeles and San Luis Obispo. He coaches young performers. And here's the detail that catches you off guard. His mother, Robin, is the woman who connected an unknown Zac Efron with his first talent agent. The Torkelson Big Brothers family helped launch one of the biggest movie stars of a generation. He wears every year beautifully, and the role he plays now might be his most important one. If you're still here, I think you feel it too. This show meant more than it ever got credit for. A few more faces are coming that I think you'll want to stay for. Here's something that bothered fans for years. When the Torkelsons became almost home, 2 of the 5 kids simply vanished. No goodbye, no explanation. Stephen Floyd and Ruth Ann were just gone. It was one of those TV mysteries nobody ever solved. Aaron Michael Metchik was 11 when he first played the athletic older brother. He brought a steadiness to that crowded household, the kid who carried a bit more weight on his shoulders so the younger ones didn't have to. You trusted him the way you trusted your own big brother. After the show, he kept acting. The Babysitters Club in 1995, a voice role in Disney's Hercules. He wrote and directed his own film 10 years later. But somewhere along the way, he realized he had more to give behind the curtain than in front of it. Today, at 46, Aaron runs an acting program called Actor's Edge in Los Angeles and San Luis Obispo. He coaches young performers. And here's the detail that catches you off guard. His mother, Robin, is the woman who connected an unknown Zac Efron with his first talent agent. The Torkelson Big Brothers family helped launch one of the biggest movie stars of a generation. He wears every year beautifully, and the role he plays now might be his most important one. If you're still here, I think you feel it too. This show meant more than it ever got credit for. A few more faces are coming that I think you'll want to stay for. Some actors become famous. William Schallert became familiar. The kind of face you'd seen 100 times without ever learning the name. And then he moved into the Torkelsons' basement, and suddenly he had one. Wesley Hodges. The boarder nobody asked for, who became the family member nobody wanted to lose. He was 69 when he took the role. By then, he'd already spent 4 decades in Hollywood. Martin Lane on The Patty Duke Show, Mr. Pomfret on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, Nils Barris in the Star Trek episode Every Fan Can Name by Heart. TV Guide later ranked him the 39th greatest TV dad of all time. But what the cameras never showed was who he was off-screen. From 1979 to 1981, he served as president of the Screen Actors Guild. He led a strike that changed how actors were paid for cable television. He founded the Guild's first committee for performers with disabilities. The unassuming boarder was a quiet revolutionary. On the Torkelsons, something beautiful happened. Patty Duke guest starred as his granddaughter. More than 25 years earlier, he'd played her father on The Patty Duke Show. That reunion was real, and the tenderness on screen wasn't acting. William Schallert left us in 2016 at 93. He'd worked steadily into his final years. How I Met Your Mother, True Blood, Desperate Housewives, a career that stretched from 1947 to 2014. Every rerun is proof he was here, And every character actor working today walks a path he helped build. Every night, she sat at her window and talked to the man in the moon. Not a prayer, not a diary, just a girl putting her thoughts somewhere safe. That's what Dorothy Jane Torkelson did. And if you were the kind of kid who felt everything a little too deeply, she was yours. Olivia Burnette was 14 when she became that girl. But she'd already been acting since she was 6. At 10, she played Steve Martin's daughter in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. By the time the Torkelsons ended, she was a teenager with a real career in front of her. The Quick and the Dead alongside Sharon Stone and Russell Crowe. Eye for an Eye with Sally Field. Hollywood was right there. And then she walked away from it. She left California, moved to New York, and enrolled at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. Double major, film and English. In a 1992 interview, she'd named Jodie Foster as her idol. A child star who went to college and came back on her own terms. Olivia followed that exact path. She returned to acting selectively. A recurring role on Sons of Anarchy from 2008 to 2014. Guest spots on JAG and NCIS. Married musician Julian Cicata. Today, at 49, she seems untouched by the years. She never chased fame. She simply made sure she was ready for whatever came next. The girl who talked to the moon grew up and decided the conversation was hers to keep. But there's one more face from that house, the smallest one. The kid with the thick glasses and the bug collection. And what happened to him is the part of this story you'll carry with you longest. Do you remember the kid with the glasses? The one who collected bugs and wore shirts too big for him, and never once tried to be anyone else. Chuckie Lee Torkelson. The littlest brother in a house full of noise. He didn't have the best lines. He didn't need them. He just stood there, being exactly himself. And every kid who ever felt a bit too strange for the room saw their own reflection looking back. Lee Norris was 10 years old when he became Chuckie Lee. Born in Greenville, North Carolina, he didn't have to reach far for that character. A small-town kid playing a small-town kid. When the Torkelsons ended, he was 12. Most child actors disappear at that age. Lee Norris did the opposite. The same year the show wrapped, he walked onto the set of Boy Meets World. Stuart Minkus, the nerdy classmate who vanished after season 1 and came back at graduation, explaining he'd simply been on the other side of the hall. That joke still lives on the internet 30 years later. He graduated from Wake Forest University in 2004. Then something remarkable happened. He was cast as Marvin "Mouth" McFadden on One Tree Hill. And for 9 seasons he became part of a show that defined a generation. Zodiac with Jake Gyllenhaal, Gone Girl with Ben Affleck, Tom Hanks's Greyhound. 2 of those were David Fincher films. That tells you something. Today at 44, Lee Norris is more striking now than ever. He's married to Andrea, active on the convention circuit, and a beloved guest on both the Pod Meets World and Drama Queens podcasts. Fans of 3 different decades claim him as their own. The kid who collected bugs in Pyramid Corners, Oklahoma, never stopped being exactly himself. He just let the world catch up. But there's one last name we haven't spoken. A girl who joined the Torkelsons in their final chapter and who the whole world was about to adore. She was 15 when she walked onto the set of Almost Home. A girl from Atlanta with a raspy voice and a grin that took up the whole screen. Nobody knew her name yet. Within 2 years, she'd be Thai and clueless, and the world would never look away again. Girl Interrupted, 8 Mile, the voice of Luann on King of the Hill for 12 straight years. She filled every room she entered. Brittany Murphy left us in 2009 at 32. She didn't get the time she deserved, but the work she left behind keeps introducing her to people who weren't even born yet. Clueless still plays on rainy afternoons. Luann still makes someone laugh for the first time every single day. Some gifts don't need a lifetime to last forever. The Torkelsons never made the front page. It never won an Emmy. But it did something harder. It walked into living rooms and made people feel less alone. That kind of show doesn't come around twice. Somewhere, Dorothy Jane is still sitting at her window. Millicent is still standing in that kitchen. And a boy with thick glasses is still collecting bugs in the yard. So tell me, when you think of the Torkelsons, where were you? Who were you sitting with? I read every single comment, and those memories are my favorite part of doing this. There are more stories like this one waiting. More faces. More Saturday afternoons we used to know. Until next time, hold on to that feeling. It's yours to keep.